Namaste everyone, welcome back to my channel Spirituality from Soul. In my today's video, I'm going to speak about a very like touchy topic or a personal topic which is called suicide. And I know it is committing suicide is is not ideal. It should not be done. And like and in my today's video, I mean there are plenty of stuff available all over the internet which says that if someone is going through any of like suicidal thoughts and things like that, then you should speak to those, like there are some helplines available where we should go and speak to them. So yeah, I'm definitely like I would highly recommend to everyone who is going through this phase to please take a help and speak to those helpline numbers. But in my today's video, I'm going to talk about suicide from the spirituality perspective, like how why suicide is a sin in spirituality, and how does it affects your karma, like what are the karmic effects of committing a suicide. So yeah, so I'm going to talk about that. So like I just said, like in today's era, or we call it Kali, where we have seen like lot of people are committing suicide due to some reason or the other, and this is extremely unfortunate. It's an extremely unfortunate situation. And also we have seen it more in the younger generation, like the school going kids, or like early 20s, and some little trouble, they face some little trouble and they decide to commit a suicide. And this is very tricky situation. And yeah, because I think because their mind is not that matured enough to handle that situation, and the only solution they think that the only solution through which they can come out of this issue or trouble which is going on in their life is suicide. But they don't think that suicide is not a solution. By committing a suicide, they have committed a sin, because that suicide is going to affect the body. Is gone now, they have committed a suicide, the body is gone. And but they don't realize that how this suicide has affected the soul living in that body. And so let me start with an example here. So like a young schoolboy has committed a suicide because he couldn't get the the marks that student was expecting in its exams. And that's why, and he came back from the school, was very depressed because of the the marks and things like that. And all of a sudden he just jumped out of his balcony or something in his house, and committed a suicide. Now because the body is gone, the boy died, the body is gone, but now the soul is left without a body. And before that soul came into that human body, that soul was given some certain number of years by the universe. And that soul must have come on this planet in that human body, to fulfill some soul purpose. I've spoke about this soul purpose in detail in one of my old video, which is about soul contract. So if you really want to know what soul purpose is, and how, like what do soul, like how soul fulfill that soul purpose, and if you want to learn more about it, then please go and watch that soul contract video, where I've explained it in detail. So yeah, so back to the topic. So that soul came in that human body to fulfill some purpose, or maybe to learn some lesson which that soul was supposed to learn in this birth. Now unfortunately the boy died, and that soul has no body, so obviously that soul can't fulfill the purpose. And 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 also now that soul can't take the next birth as well, because the number of years that soul was given by the universe, now soul has to wander around for that many years. And that has ruined the whole plan of that soul, which that soul was supposed to fulfill. Now what will happen is, um, because that soul will now come in the contact with lot of negative energies, because as we all know that negative energies are all around us. We can they are like they are everywhere. And now, because even though when that soul was in a human body, that soul was never a negative soul or anything like that. But now, because that soul has no body and soul can't do anything, soul can't fulfill the purpose, soul can't even ask for forgiveness from the universe, because it's only like we can only ask for forgiveness when we are that the soul come as a human body. And now and like I said, now that soul can't even ask for forgiveness from the universe, so that soul can't get a new birth, that soul can't fulfill the purpose. And that obviously when it wanders around, it will get in touch, and then it will get in contact with the negative energy, so that negative energies will start influencing that soul. And unfortunately that soul will be influenced and become another negative energy, um, in that dimension. So what will happen after that? Now that, because now that soul will look for a revenge, because look for a revenge, because when that soul was in a human body, that boy must have, say for example, that boy was bullied or something like that, or like I said, I give in previous example, it did not commit in we did not get enough marks in the exam. So maybe that soul will start blaming the teachers, then the teacher didn't give me enough exam and things like that. That the idea of revenge will come into that soul's, that revenge will come into that soul's, and soul will decide to take a revenge. And now that soul will start, you know um, like making the life difficult of other human beings, whom that soul will think is that has to take a revenge. So that situation will happen. Or that soul, if at all there was no revenge involved here, then but that soul will always stay in that place where that young boy committed the suicide. So say for example that the boy committed the suicide in some apartment or something, so that soul will always stay there. And for example, the parents of that young boy left that apartment and moved somewhere else, and some new family has decided to buy that apartment and live there. Now that family doesn't have, the family don't have any idea what happened before in that apartment, like someone died or anything like that. So obviously the soul start troubling their life. They will, because the sole purpose of this type of souls are to that take more and more lives, because that's help them to become like more powerful and things like that. So they will start targeting other people, even though they have nothing to do with it. But somehow they will end up in a situation where um, they are getting issues in their own life, and the things will become worse for them. So, and that is why it is always, and that is why it is considered a sin in spirituality to commit a suicide, because that one soul has made a life hell for so many other, you know other souls, which has nothing to do with them. So, and the second reason some people commit suicide is also because, again, because of the influence of the negative energy. Now I've briefly spoke about it as an example here, where the Rian family came into that house and got got like harass from that soul. So in that same situation, if that soul is like, those family, and they're like the main member of that family, his soul is not very not powerful or anything, or they are not spiritual or anything like that, or maybe they are atheists or things like that, and they are not very spiritually inclined. So what will happen is that soul is not that very um strong and powerful, and maybe that soul will come into the influence of that narrative soul. And uh, and that's uh, and because these narrative energies, they always look for those souls, so that if more and more people will start committing suicide, then they will become powerful, because that's what they aim for. And because the main member of the family is a weak soul, is very weak. So if that person decided to commit a suicide, then this native soul will become powerful, so they will influence that person, because he's affecting that person brain, and when put in all the negative thoughts in that person's mind, and unfortunately that member will committed a suicide. And yeah, and this native soul will become more powerful, and then the same cycle repeat, and then that soul will can't do anything, can't take the next birth, because because they have to live certain number of years. And this um, and this committing a suicide also destroys your karma, and no one knows whether that soul will ever that narrative soul will ever get a chance to get a human birth again. Why? Because especially because after becoming a negative energy, and will get that soul will never get a moksha or liberation from that birth cycle. And because that soul will never be able to fulfill the soul purpose, and that's what the souls are always aimed for, to fulfill their soul purpose, and to gain all the knowledge, and then to go toward the spirituality, fulfill the purpose, and then eventually um, they will go for the moksha, and or you can call it liberation from that birth cycle. But that will never happen, because they have eventually, because that soul has become an narrative energy. So that's why in spirituality it is highly, it is always said that suicide is not an option. If you're um, if you're going through any issues in your life, please, trust your deity, trust your god, incline towards the spirituality, and I'm sure that the universe is always there to help you, to support you. It is my humble request to everyone, if you're watching this video, please never ever think of committing a suicide, please. I hope you find this video useful. If yes, please do share these videos with other people, and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.